When David killed Goliath, he wasn't a little boy. He was strong, big, he has muscles, he has skills, he knows how to use weapons. The sling is not the only tool, the weapon he owns. I will tell you about that. But his family doesn't think about that too much. So the person they're impressed with is Eliab. Who knows who Eliab is?
He's the
Oldest brother, yes. Now Eliab is tall, big, he's a hunk, he's strong, he's mighty. Do I turn it on here somewhere? That's okay, I'll scream in the meantime. So Eliab's the big, he's good looking, and so Dad is, not only that, Eliab's in the army. And Eliab's probably like one of the captains of 100 or something like that. So Dad is really proud of Eliab. Now, Eliab has a younger brother. His name is, I just lost it. Just a minute. Well, it starts with an A. Abinadab.
Alexander?
Now, why did I remember Abinadab? You know, it's like a name that sticks on your tongue, right? Abinadab, his name is Abinadab. He's a mighty guy, and the third guy's name's Shema, and he's a mighty guy, and there's a fourth brother, and a fifth brother, and a sixth brother, and a seventh brother, and then there's David.
Why does every main character have so many brothers?
They don't all have that.
I know, but almost all.
A lot of them have a lot of brothers. Well, there wasn't any TV back then, so, you know, families had bigger families.
That's your solution.
So, anyway, David, however, is not one of the favorites. And even in his own family. So while the brothers are out doing this really important job of being mighty guys in the army, David is left to do a servant's job. You know, they have their shepherds and their have flocks and whatnot. David's job is to take care of the sheep. Now that sounds like a dumb job. Do any of you have a sheep? You have a sheep?
Yeah.
You do? Is a sheep easy to take care of?
My grandparents' friends
Have sheep? Sheep, from what I've never had a sheep. I've never owned a lamb. I have a toy lamb, but I don't have a real sheep. But I've studied about sheep, and I hate to tell you, sheep are dumb. Sheep are really dumb. Like, let me tell you how dumb sheep are. If you have a whole bunch of sheep, and they're all in the big pasture, somewhere there is a bathroom puddle, right? There's going to be several bathroom puddles around in the big. A sheep is so dumb they don't know to not drink out of that bathroom puddle. Yeah. Is it dumb? Yeah. Okay. A sheep is, they have a lot of problems. They're not smart. They will follow anything. If some sheep, it gets distracted and is walking on this ledge and falls over the edge, the next sheep will go over there and fall over the edge. And sheep number 3 will follow along and fall over the edge. I mean, it's like, duh, don't you see what's going on? Sheep don't see that. Another thing about sheep that's really dumb is really hard on sheep is when they lay down to rest, they go down on all fours, straight down, you know, like this, and they're just fine. Unless they lay down on a slight hill. So if they lay down on a slight hill, they fall over.
They tumble.
And once they fall over, they cannot get up.
I've fallen.
And within, what, an hour? Listen, the vultures are circling. And they will attack that sheep and kill that sheep. And all the sheep did was lay down and fall over. The sheep cannot get back on his feet. He doesn't know how to do that. The sheep does not know how to find good grass. Like, you're out in the field and those are poisonous flowers. And that's good grass. They don't know. They're going to eat the poisonous flowers. So they don't, if they're thirsty and they're dying of thirst and they're like really, really thirsty and there's a creek going by and that creek is just moving. I'm not saying a rushing river. I'm saying just moving. They get so scared they won't drink.
Oh my God.
So the shepherd actually has to build a dam so that it's a still water, and he has to make sure they're drinking that water and not the water over there in the other puddle in the field. Yeah, because they don't know. They don't know which water it is.
That make me throw up.
Yeah. Now, another thing about sheep is they have short little tails. So if there's a fly on their nose, it's not like they can't get the fly off their nose. And what the flies like to do is they like to crawl up the nostrils, lay their eggs up in and then the eggs grow up into their brains and infect their brains until they go berserk. Yeah.
Like, seriously?
This is seriously, yes. This really happens. So this is what shepherds, and okay, I haven't even talked about wild animals. Oh, and the other thing is sheep get really, really scared. So if there is a cougar around, the sheep's going to get really scared. But if a rabbit runs by, the sheep's going to get really, really scared. He's going to be as scared of the rabbit as he is of the cougar. So if a shepherd has 100 sheep, and they're all kind of like going off that edge, falling over that cliff. Start to think about it. Is his job easy or hard? It's hard. If he's got sheep drinking out of the wrong puddles, if he's got sheep eating the wrong flowers,
Stop talking.
it's really getting bad, isn't it? What if the sheep way over there has flipped upside down and the vultures are circling? Okay, so a shepherd's job is a lot tougher than what it sounds like. He's going to start walking along with the sheep, okay? So the shepherd has 3 tools. One is a staff, and I should have had one here, but I gave it to the little kids. It's a long pole with a hook on the end. You guys have seen those, right? Okay, that's what you use to reach out and grab the sheep that's fallen over the ledge. And you say, he's fallen over and he's hanging there and he's stuck and he's screaming and he's yelling and he can't do anything and he's baaing, you know. And the shepherd will hook this around the sheep's neck, pull it up, and that's okay. And then he'll have to stop all the other ones who are trying to fall over.
Like, break their neck?
No, he knows how to do that. Okay? Now, he has another thing called a rod. And a rod is a stick about that long. And he knows how to throw that rod. And if he throws that rod, he's so good at this, he can throw that rod and hit a sheep on the rump and get the sheep from way over there from not going way over there. The sheep will come back. And then, or he can take that same rod and he sees a mountain lion coming down and he can take that same rod and throw it in such a way that it hits the mountain lion and kills him.
What?
He is that good. Okay? And then he has a sling. If it's way too distant, he has a sling. He is so, I don't know, a slingshot is not one of those white, for them, it was not one of those white things like this and you pull it back. That's not the slingshot he had. He had a slingshot that was like a piece of leather on a loop and you hit a rock in the middle of it and it was on a string and you swung it like this and then you released one of the strings and you did it just right and you could send that rock flying like a bullet. And he could protect his sheep. And often a shepherd had to stay out for weeks out in this field. He had a little satchel which kept his dried foods in there. And he lived out there with the sheep and took care of his sheep. If the sheep was upside down, he had to go over there, flip the sheep, and turn it up so that the sheep would not die. And you think to yourself, at night, almost all the shepherds sang to their sheep because the sheep would hear a sound and not sleep all night long because there was a sound. I mean, have you ever been outside camping? Is there ever never a sound? Yeah, okay. And so he had to go to sleep. And then, so that was David's job. His job was to be out there with the sheep. And in the meantime, there's a king in Israel, and there's an enemy going on. The enemy is the Philistines, and all the other brothers are in the army fighting the enemy. And between battles, they have all kinds of rest time. David never gets rest time. Not all day, not all night, for weeks on end. That's his job. Who do you think has the tougher job? David may have maybe the mom, yeah. David has a tough job. Dad is proud of the big boys in the army. Dad thinks nothing of, oh, by the way, the whole family eats because of what David does. Not because of what the soldiers do. In Israel, the Israelites did not feed their soldiers. The families of the soldiers had to bring food to the soldiers. David feeds his brothers. David's work. All right, so he's really important, but not. So anyway, King Saul has to obey God. That's one of the rules for being king of Israel, and he has chosen not to. And the consequences are he must be punished. You know what his punishment was? Listen to this. His punishment was his son could not become king. Now that doesn't sound like much of a punishment to the king. Sounds like a punishment to the son. But back then, the most important thing for a king was to leave his name, his legacy. So to take away his son from being king was horrible to King Saul. So there's another guy in the story. His name is a prophet. Anybody know his name? No, not Eli. Samuel, yes. Now God tells Samuel, we are going to set up a new king, a new line of kings. So Samuel takes off to this little town called Bethlehem, and he is going to have a big sacrifice, and he sends out word that he is inviting Jesse and his family. Oh, Jesse's the dad. Jesse gets so excited. Samuel's a really important guy, and Jesse gets invited to the party, and he's bringing his son. So they all come, and he dresses Eliab and the other in their dress whites. You guys know what that is? Because it's not dress whites for them, but they put on their best uniforms. They're all done up, and as he's going through, Jesse finds out Samuel's picking one of his sons to be the next king. So who do you think he puts out in front? No, David. Oldest son. Eliab. This is my son. I'm putting here. And Samuel looks at him. Whoa, he's such a good-looking king. And God says, Samuel, not the one. Not the one. And so Jesse goes, oh, okay. Brings in Abinadab. No, not the one. Next one, brings in Shema. No, not the one. Brings in son 4. Not the one. Brings in son 5. Not the one. Brings in son 6. Not the. What's going on here? Son 7. Not the one. Finally, there's no more sons there. And Samuel goes, something's wrong here. And he looks at Jesse and says, are these all your sons? And he goes, well, I got this other one, but you don't want him. He stinks. He smells like sheep. Whoa. He's been out camping for 3 weeks, and he hasn't had a shower. You know what? He's not even an important guy. And Samuel goes, stop the dinner. Nobody eats till that son gets here. So Jesse has to send out a servant to go get David out of the fields. That's got to take a while, right? And he gets there. David will not leave the flock until he trains the servant how to take his place. You think he's going to walk off and let those sheep do that? He's going to leave those sheep unprotected? No way. So they are back at Bethlehem. They're waiting and waiting. Food's getting cold. They're waiting. Finally, David shows up. And yes, he smells. He is not in his dress whites. He is dirty. He is yucky. And he is standing there. And God tells Samuel, this is the one. And Samuel kind of goes like, God, really? Look at these other sins. God says, don't look at their outward appearance. For God does not look at your outward appearance. By the way, listen closely. A lot of us have difficulties with our outward appearance. Every one of us has something we don't like about ourselves. We don't like that our hair is straight. We don't like that our hair is curly. We don't like that we don't like that we're short. We don't like that we're, I don't know. What is it? Everybody has something. You all have something? Yeah? No? You like yourself perfectly? Ah, you're one of the different ones.
I want to be a girl.
Oh.
Well, okay, that's a question for another time. We'll talk about that later.
So,
True.
there's something about everybody that they do not like about themselves. And God says this, no. Watch, listen. It is not, shh, quiet. It is not about the outward appearance. It is about your heart. It's about what's inside. Who you are is not all about what you look like. Who you are is about what your heart is, what your soul is, what you think, what you are like inside. And God looks at David and he says, that dirty boy with all the junk on him that's coming from the sheep has a heart after me. That's a man after my own heart. And Samuel then takes this, something we don't do anymore, takes this ram's horn, this curly ram's horn, puts oil in it, and pours it on David's head. That is how, you listening? That's their ceremony for the royal next king. And David is chosen to be king. God do you ever feel like you left out in the field? I was the kid who wasn't popular. I was the unpopular kid. I was the kid who, you sign up for a game and you line up here and you line up there and they choose teams. Anybody do that still? Yeah. I was not chosen. I'm the last one to be chosen. Nobody wants me on their team. I knew that. They did not know that I could play baseball, but they would look at me and they go, no way. So they didn't, I would just sort of grin, but it was funny. But I know what it's like to be overlooked, not the one chosen, okay? God has chosen every single one of you. He has looked into your heart. He has chosen every single one of you, and he has paid the price for you, okay? Do you know why why you are so special? Because God looks on the inward appearance. He looks on your heart. And he says, I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. You will never be alone because you are mine. Remember that next time you don't feel like you fit in. Okay? Dear Father in heaven, thank you for David's story. Thank you that you took the kid that nobody wanted and you made him the most important person in your nation. Thank you for taking each of us as the times go by when we don't feel important and nobody wants us, and making us so very special in your plan. Some of us will be great shepherds. Some of us will be great leaders. Some of us will have great jobs in between. Thank you for making a plan for each one of us. In Jesus' name, amen.